Hi everybody, my name's Sophia and welcome to today's Facebook Live where we're going to talk about why you need to be around empowered people if you're pregnant. So first of all, let's take a little think about what empowered even looks like. Does it mean somebody who's already super duper confident? Does it mean somebody who's already acing it through pregnancy, who's having the best time, who just has no doubts, no worries, no nothing? No, because that person just might not exist. They might do. If they have, I haven't met them yet. So what do we mean when we talk about an empowered person? So for me, an empowered person is very much somebody who is willing to identify the areas in their life, the areas in their thoughts, in their feelings where they're not quite sure and where they're then willing to take control and do something about it. So that might mean getting help, it might mean learning more, it might mean talking to different people and finding out what they can and different ways to support themselves. And it might also mean just putting their hand up and saying, I'm struggling and I really want this to feel different. So when you're around an empowered person like that, what kind of things happen? So that's where the magic happens, really. And one of the big things that always sticks in my mind is show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And that's so true in many different ways. So today I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why I think it's important for you to be around empowered people when you're pregnant. So one of the first things, yes, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So think about the 5 people, and right now you might not be spending that much time with your 5, but in general, who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with? Where do you fit into how they are? Where do you see yourself within the group of how they are? Are you the most positive? Are you the least positive? Are you just the average of what they are? And the chances are that you'll be able to identify a little bit with each of those people, but maybe not 100% with all of them. So if you're going to become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and of course there's huge other influences coming into your life as well, especially through social media, through everything else that you can read and learn about pregnancy. But if you were to become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, what would your life look like? Is that a life that you want to have? Is that a pregnancy that you would love to have? So really looking around and thinking, what are the good things and the not so good things, and where do I fit into this, and how would I like it to be different? So if you know that you're going to become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, maybe you're going to change your game a little bit. Maybe you're going to do a bit more learning, you're going to be a bit more resourceful. But looking around and saying, I can lift, I can elevate the other people around me, because if I'm the average of the 5 I spend the most time with, so are they. And when you're pregnant, let's face it, you want to be around positive people, people that help you feel good. Not Pollyannas who just make you think everything's going to be perfect and just promise you perfect, because that's not true. Nobody can promise you the perfect birth. Nobody can promise you the perfect anything. But what we can definitely do is promise you that there's lots and lots you can do to stack the odds in your favour of a better birth. So number 2, deeper conversations. When you're around people who feel empowered, they don't sit down and I just don't know what to do. There's just nothing I can do. You know, I just feel so bad and this has happened and I've heard horrible stories and there's nothing I can do. That just feels awful to be around, doesn't it? But when you're around somebody who says, this is happening, what am I going to do about it? Am I just going to take this lying down? Am I going to stand up, find out some information, find my power, whatever power that is? And you have power in you the whole way through pregnancy, not least because you are growing a whole new life inside of you, but you have power because you have rights as a pregnant woman. You have rights to say when and how somebody can touch you. You have rights to be able to have input and influence over the type of birth that you have. So you have those rights. But when you are around empowered people, you can have deeper conversations. You can have deeper connections because they're not just passive. They're not just saying, oh, what will be, will be. There might be an element of that. That's called acceptance and letting go of being attached to the outcome. But very much people who are empowered are willing to do what it takes to give themselves the best opportunities to make the most out of every situation, and not just to throw themselves down on the ground and bury their face in a pillow, pummel it a bit with their fists and say, it's all gone wrong. Because it's really hard to be around those people. No matter what you suggest, no matter how much support you try to give, no matter what advice you might give, even if they've asked for it, they never take it. And that can leave you feeling depleted and exhausted. And you need all of that energy to grow your amazing baby right now. So number 3, what do I have here? you can learn from each other. So when you're around empowered people, chances are they will have overcome so many challenges in their life, challenges that will just have left other people at the door not having a clue what to do going forwards. People will have a pity story, people will have a sob story, people will have a story that is negative around what's gone on for them and how nothing's ever worked. And when you're around that, remembering that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, you get exhausted, again, you get depleted, and it's not fun for you to be around. But when you're around empowered people, you'll find somebody who can tell you, oh, when this happened to me, I did this, and that can inspire you. It can help you to remember that what is possible for one person is so very often possible for you too. Unless there's a medical reason why it's not, there's a very good possibility for you too. And so when you can see how other people have faced up to what's gone on, what they've chosen to do, how they have literally risen from the ashes, or whatever metaphor you want to choose, when you're around empowered people, they will inspire you. And when you're inspired, you will take better actions, more positive actions, you'll feel more confident, and in turn, you're inspiring those other people around you. So if a part of you thinks, Sophia, it's a bit mean to say just be around empowered people, what about other people who need a hand up? And that's great. But if you think of the whole counselling analogy where you have a hole and 2 little lines on either side, you can have an empowered person at the top saying to the person who's in the dip, who's stuck in the hole, here, let me give you a hand and help somebody up. And if they take your hand and they're coming up, they're willing to be empowered, they're willing to make a change. But if they're just dragging you into the hole with them, what's going to happen? You're both at the bottom of that hole. So when you're around other people who are empowered, or who are willing to take that first step to change their thinking, to change what they're doing in life, to change how they want to experience their pregnancy and their birth, it can really help you to feel a whole lot more positive, to take stronger actions, and to tap into what they've already learnt, who they've already spoken to, what resources they might already have found, and anything else that they're willing to share with you. Because when you hear somebody's different mindset, it's amazing. So I was sharing this with one of the prenatal classes last week, where lots of mums, first-time mums particularly, when I speak to them, they will tell me that they're worried about how they'll cope with pain during labour. How am I going to cope with this? How does anybody cope with this? And it completely turned my mind around a couple of weeks ago when a first-time mum said to me, I'm a bit worried about labour. And I thought, okay. And I was waiting for her to say the pain of labour, the length of labour, what would happen, the uncertainty. And then she completely blew my mind. She said, I'm worried about labour because I'm worried that I'm not going to know when it started. And that was so refreshing, because it was a complete flip on what people normally say to me. And it really reminded me as well that one person's fear is not always exactly the same as another person's fear. But when you're around empowered people, here she is already saying, I'm worried about this. And her next question was, what can I do about it? Or how will I know? And so when you're around empowered people, they're action takers, they're moving forward, they're willing to do something to make a difference. And all of that rubs off on you, which helps you to have more of the oxytocin, which is the feel-good cuddle hormone, the love hormone, which right at the point where you are ready to be in labour or to give birth to your baby, that helps you to have more effective surges. But on the run up to that, so in the time way before your baby is due, oxytocin is still perfectly safe for you in huge doses, and it helps us to feel cuddly, to feel warm, to feel snuggly, to feel loved. And that word itself comes from a Greek word which means speedy birth. And who doesn't want a nice, simple, straightforward, speedy birth? So where are we now? We're on number 4. So when you are around people who have empowered births, or at the very least who feel empowered about the kind of birth experience they had. Now that kind of birth experience can be anything. So when we talk about an empowered birth experience, it is not giving birth in a wood with absolutely no medical support, but that might have been an empowering experience for that woman and she made her choice. We are not saying an empowered birth has to be a natural home birth in a pool with some chilled out music playing, candles in the background and somebody whispering sweet nothings into the labouring mum's ear. That doesn't have to be the perfect birth or the empowered birth. An empowered birth can be, and frequently is, a C-section, where a mum has decided that that is the best course of action for her and her baby. It might be a mum who has decided that she would like the support of forceps to help her baby be born at the end. It might be a mum who has decided that she would like some pain medication because actually she's not able to give her best when she is experiencing the sensations or the discomfort she is experiencing in that moment. And so an empowered birth is one that is the right birth for you and your baby on the day. So if you are only around people who are absolutely hell-bent on one type of birth, and anything that isn't that type of birth is an absolute failure, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to hold your vision and to be able to feel confident in your ability to feel empowered when it comes to you birthing your baby. When you're around people who are able to say, I had this kind of birth, it didn't go exactly to plan, here's what I did about it. As opposed to the mum who says, I wasn't allowed to do this, or I had to do this. Now, there will be times where maybe you did have to do something if there was a medical emergency, but again, that's a choice that you are able to go with on the day because you know that's what's right for you, and you feel empowered to make that decision and that choice without just saying, oh, I didn't have a clue what to do. So when you're armed with that information, when you feel the confidence, you feel resourceful inside, you feel your own energy levels topped up because of the people that you are surrounding yourself by, that helps you to feel more empowered and for you to be able to welcome your baby into the world with strong, loving arms and a great big heart that's wide open, not one that's shut down because you're fearful or you think that you've done something wrong. So number 5, and I love this one, it's a really important one. The answer's not Ghostbusters, by the way. Who are you going to want to call in, depending on what stage you are in your pregnancy, in 3 months, in 4 months, in 6 months, in 7 months, in 8 months? Who are you going to want to call on, whether that's a text message, messenger, WhatsApp, any of those? Who are you going to want to call or message at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, my baby's doing this, I'm worried about it. Can you tell me your experience? Now, obviously, if it's a big worry, a big concern, your first port of call will always be a medical professional. But if it's just something that's coming up and you're sat there on the nighttime feed, you're bored of your Netflix that's been on for an hour already and you just want someone to talk to, who are you going to want to talk to? Do you want to talk to somebody who just says, oh yeah, that happened to me, no idea, didn't do anything about it, just no idea, I just let it go? Or do you want to talk to somebody who says, oh yeah, I had that experience, here's what I did, here's what I found out, would you like some advice, or do you just want a listening ear? When you're talking to somebody who is empowered, they are better at listening, not just to you. They have learned to listen by listening to themselves, by working out what they need to understand about themselves, what they need to do, and then taking that action forward, and then listening to how they feel, listening to see how that action that they have taken has played out, and then continuing to develop in that way. So who are you going to want to be able to call on in the future months? Who are you going to want to be around as a kind of lifelong friend? Because even although couples move around all over the place now, we have a far more kind of transient community, you will still find that some of the people you meet during your pregnancy will be your lifelong friends. They'll still be the people that you fly to France to see when your children are 16 and 17. They'll still be the people that you fly to the other end of the country to go and visit, hopefully once COVID's all out of the way, because they've been there for you at one of the most amazing, special, transformative stages in your entire life. And so who do you want those people to be? If you're surrounding yourself now by people who are only moaning, who are not willing to make any kind of change about their life, or who are just completely passive, no idea what's going to happen, whatever, and then are more likely to be upset by the final outcome, then it's time for you to make a bit of a shift and think about what you want to do next. So the 5 reasons again as to why you need to be around empowered people right now. 1, because you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So also make yourself brilliant so that you help the other people around you. 2, deeper conversations, much more resource for much more learning. 3, plenty of that learning, momentum and enthusiasm. Being around empowered people helps to challenge you, helps you to think better, helps you to take action, and it also really helps you to get out of your comfort zone, because what's possible for them is most likely possible for you. Number 4, when you see other people have their empowered birth experiences, whatever kind of birth that looks like, and they're still able to ask for help and support if they need it, to be able to process whatever's happened if it wasn't quite what they wanted, but they're also still able to move on, to do their very best, to feel their feelings, to process the emotions, to get help, and to be able to say, that is the kind of birth that I needed to have on the day for me and my baby, and I did what was best. And number 5, who are you going to need in 6 months' time? Who are you going to want to call, and what kind of person do you want to be, so that when people do call you, you're not the one sat at home going, I don't know, I didn't ever do anything about it, I have no idea. So when you're around empowered people, you will also be an empowered person, a more empowered person, a bigger empowered person, a more empowered person. And so whichever one of those you are, you will also bring in more people who are like you, or people that you are inspiring. And together you create a really beautiful, loving and strong environment for your babies to grow up into, to become those amazing people that you would love for them to become, and for them to enjoy their life to the very fullest. So it gives you a happier, healthier, stable family, a happier, healthy, stable pregnancy right now, and will help you to feel amazing. So I've mentioned a couple of times before about a free workshop that I've got coming up. It's a pregnancy yoga workshop and a deep relaxation workshop, so lovely little bits of hypnobirthing mixed up. I'm going to be sharing with you the time of that tomorrow, the date and the time, so please watch out for that in tomorrow's social media feed. I'll be sharing that with you in the morning. And then, if you haven't already got your hands on one of these, please do. It is the 7 ways to start feeling calm and confident about giving birth. It's an ebook, so it comes as a PDF, and I also have that available as an audiobook. So if you haven't already signed up to that, you can get it at sophiahansen.com/free-stuff, and I'll pop the little link down below. So it's a really good place to start if you're just beginning to think about giving birth, even if you're only in the very, very early stages of your pregnancy right now. It can be really, really helpful to start to get your brain thinking in a different way, to start to open up your mind, and to start to bust some of those myths, which, let's face it, we've been fed quite a lot of tall tales when it comes to pregnancy and birth over the years, particularly through the Hollywood movies. So let's make a start on making it different. Make yourself empowered right now. Do whatever you need to do to get your hands on this via the website. And thank you so much for being here today. Look forward to chatting to you on Thursday. Lots of love. Bye bye for now.